Hello everyone, welcome to Safety Pilot.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Caleb.
Today we're doing a mock instrument check ride. As usual, our goal here and our desire is to show the scope of an instrument check ride. So we're going to go through the scope, the kind of questions you might be asked, and try to hit the average length of an instrument check ride. I'll be the student applying for instrument rating, and Caleb will be the DP. So let's just jump right in. We're not going to stop if I get something wrong. We're just going to put a buzzer in and put the answer in over it. And if we need to discuss anything at the end, we'll discuss it then. So let's do it.
Yep. When you first come in for the exam, just like private pilot, we'll start off with doing some paperwork, doing the 8710 IACRA form, and you will have presented all of your documents. We'll go through the whole spiel of Bill of Rights and stuff, 3 possible outcomes, pass, discontinue, disapproval. Hopefully we get the temporary airman certificate today. We'll look at the logbooks to make sure that the airplane we're flying today is legal for the flight. So we'll go through all the inspections and stuff. You should still all know all those inspections and their expiration dates from your private pilot stuff. So with that out of the way, the scenario for today that I had you plan in advance is that you are going to be we're assuming that you are already an instrument-rated pilot, so you passed today, and you're going to be taking me on a flight, and I have never been in an airplane before. And we're going on a flight from Superior, Wisconsin to Marshfield, Wisconsin on an instrument flight plan. So we'll kind of work into that scenario as we go. To start things off, I just want to know, when is an instrument rating required?
An instrument rating is required in conditions below VFR weather minimums.
Okay.
It's required to fly an instrument flight plan.
Okay.
Fly in Class A airspace, and for special VFR at night.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. All right. And so we're going to be flying on an instrument flight plan today. How do you know that you are legal to perform the flight on an instrument flight plan with me as a passenger today?
So to carry a passenger, I'm going to have made 3 landings within the preceding 90 calendar days.
Okay. Which
I have done. And I'm also a current instrument pilot, because within the preceding 6 calendar months, I have done 6 instrument approaches. I've done holds, intercepts, and tracking using the required navigational equipment.
Okay. Is there anything else you need to act as a pilot in command?
Yep. So within the last 2 years, 24 calendar months, I need a proficiency check. Or in my case, I had a Checkride, which will also fulfill that requirement.
Great. Yeah, so your private pilot Checkride will do that. Okay. You mentioned like approved devices for these approaches. Is it okay to use can I shoot an approach using my ForeFlight or a handheld GPS?
No, it needs to be an FAA approved device, and big rule they have for GPS is that it can't be removable or portable. It needs to be established in the aircraft.
Okay, so I've got an old 172 that's got like a black and white display GPS it looks like it's from the early 1900s. Is that approved for instrument? How would I know it's approved?
Is it something like a Garmin 196 or something?
I don't even know.
So it'll conform to a TSO.
Okay.
Technical Standard Order, which will have all the requirements and specifications that are necessary for that GPS to be used for instrument rating.
Okay.
And then I can also, what I'm going to do is if I'm flying an airplane, I'm just not sure, I'm going to look, the manual for the GPS should be in the airplane.
Yeah.
It's required to be in the airplane, and in that it'll say if it's usable for IFR flight or if it's not.
Sure. Yeah, so a manual, maybe like a supplement or something in the POH. Because some of these GPSs, they're old and they're like the number or the type is like smudged out and you can't even really tell the numbers. But yeah, sure. You're right. Yeah, there should be a manual with it. Okay. So if my currency, if I did 3 night landings, an hour after sunset because I wanted to carry some people at night, are those night landings going to come from my day currency?
Sure. Yeah. For day currency, you just need 3 takeoff and landings.
Okay. So that
be day or night.
So night landings will count for day currency as well.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And then in terms of doing these 6 approaches you mentioned, can I just do 6 RNAV 3-6 approaches at my local airport? I'll shoot them all in a row, and that counts for complete currency for any approach ever for 6 months?
Yeah, you could. Yeah. It just needs to be 6 approaches. It could be any type approach.
Would you feel comfortable doing that and then shooting, say, an ILS?
I wouldn't, no.
Okay.
I wouldn't do 6 VOR approaches and then be like, oh, I can go do an ILS to minimums.
Okay.
Even though the last time I did one was 8 months ago or something.
Sure. Yeah, and this is getting into something you talked about in your private check, right? I'm sure about what's legal versus what's safe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you know about that. So, good. Okay. So if I'm out of my IFR currency, so that's 6 months you mentioned. Let's say I just got out of currency. What do I need to do to reinstate my currency?
Just beyond 6 calendar months, I need to go up and do 6 approaches, tracking, holding, everything like that again.
Okay.
But I can't do it alone, so I can't go into actual to do it. I'll need to fly with a safety pilot,
okay,
or an instructor.
Okay.
So at least a private pilot needs to be with me.
Okay. So if I'm just doing it with a private pilot, can I still file IFR and go?
Yeah. You can still log. No, so you wouldn't be able to fly into actual.
Okay. Can I file IFR?
No, you wouldn't file IFR because you're not able to actively fly as PIC in those conditions.
All right. Okay. So let's say I'm doing this and I'm not on an IFR flight plan. I'm just going to VFR, doing some local approaches, and I've got let's say you're up there and you've got the foggles or the hood on, and you've got just a not instrument rated, just a regular private pilot sitting in the right seat. Who can log this is PIC time?
So we're beyond the 6 month point.
Yep. So right now we're trying to regain currency.
Both. So I'm still going to log PIC as the sole manipulator of the controls.
Okay.
I am flying the aircraft. The private pilot or whoever's flying with me, as long as they're a certificated pilot, they're also going to log PIC as a required crew member.
Okay. Are you both going to be acting as PIC?
No. Only the sole manipulator of controls. So in this case, I would be the acting PIC.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's say you're shooting an approach in the end of the hood, and let's say this. Do you think you can accomplish your see and avoid responsibilities while under the hood? Or do you think you can act as PIC if you're blocking your vision? Do you think you can perform your full VFR pilot duties under the hood? So do you think you'd be the one acting as PIC in that case?
It would appear not. It would seem to be.
So maybe the private pilot who can perform full see and avoid duties would be acting. Okay. Something to think about. Okay, so let's say you're shooting this approach and you're wanting to log these approaches for currency. When can you log an approach in simulated instrument conditions under that hood? How far do you have to fly that approach in order to log it?
I need to fly the procedure down to the missed approach point.
Okay. And now how would that change if I was in actual instrument conditions?
In actual, you need to fly to the final approach point. You need to fly at least to the final approach point. And if, say, 100 feet below or whatever, 50 feet below the final approach point, you need to fly in actual.
Sure.
Down below the final approach point.
Okay. And then if you break out somewhere in between that and the
final approach point and miss approach.
Yeah, exactly.
Still log it.
Okay. So now let's say it's been I've been out of currency for more than 6 months, so it's essentially been like that year. I think people have mentioned. How am I going to get my currency back now to fly instruments?
It's been more than a year.
Yep.
So if it goes beyond 12 months, you need an instrument proficiency check.
Okay.
So it's a flight with a CFII, DPE, or somebody designated by the administrator, and that needs to be just completed with them, similar to a proficiency flight.
Okay.
And
so
you can find information on what would be in that in the back of the instrument ACS.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you went there. I was going to say, I'm a CFII. Can you just fly in there with me for 20 minutes and I'll sign you off?
No. There's specific things that the FAA mandates that we need to accomplish.
Yeah, it's almost another check ride. It's basically another check ride. You can just take it with somebody who's a little bit less scary than DPE. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so let's move on to the airplane now. What inspections do we need to have on the airplane for it to be certified?
Inspections. It needs to be an annual.
Okay.
It needs to have VOR check.
All right.
If it has VOR. It needs to have 100 hours if it's being used for hire.
Okay.
It needs to have an airworthiness certificate. It's not an inspection. It needs to have the transponder. So the transponder and pitot-static check every 24 calendar months.
Okay.
Those are separate items.
Okay.
And then ELT every 12 months.
Okay. Can I overfly my annual if I need to get it somewhere to get it done?
Or only with specific permission from the FAA, such as a ferry permit.
Okay.
But under normal conditions, no.
Where would I go to get a ferry permit?
To the FSDO.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned a VOR check every 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Who can perform that check?
Private pilot, A&P, repair station.
So after you perform, let's say you perform the check, since you're a private pilot, you perform the check. What do you need to record, and where do you need to record it so people know you did it?
I need to record in the aircraft logs the date, location, who I need to put my signature, and I need to put the findings of the check.
Sure. What form would that be in, the findings?
If it passed or not.
Okay.
And then, if necessary, any deviation.
Sure. Like how much error was in it? Yeah. Okay, great. How would I perform a VOT check?
So VOT check, you'd need to go to the chart supplement to get the proper frequency and location to do the VOT.
Okay.
Then you'd line up the aircraft on the VOT station, or the pavement that's designated, and set the VOR to 180 degrees or 360. And then you're looking to make sure that you're indicating 360 from or 182 the VOT.
Okay. Now, is a VOT going to be on one exact specific spot marked on the pavement, or could it be just anywhere that it says in the vicinity on the check?
It'll tell you where you need to be.
Okay. Yeah, so what's a ground check then? A VOR ground check.
So a VOT is specifically, it's easier for me to describe it by just saying what it isn't. No, so a ground check is, there'll be a designated position.
There we go.
At an airport,
right,
where you need to be, where you're at a bearing from a designated VOR. But it's a VOR that's in use, so a VOT is designated just for testing.
Okay.
Ground check is you're using a standard duty VOR, and you're just at a predefined location.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So just really quickly, what kind of documents do I need to have inside the airplane for the flight?
Airworthiness certificate.
Okay.
You need to have the POH or the AFM.
Okay.
So you need the operating limitations. You need current weight and balance. Airworthiness, said that.
Mm-hmm.
And the aircraft registration.
Okay. And how long is registration valid?
7 years. 7 calendar years.
Well, the way things have been going the last decade, that might be out of date by the time you watch this video. All right, so let's say you're going flying and you've got the airplane out, you make sure everything is good, you make sure you're good, you got the passenger, you got me set, good to go. I'm all hyped about this flight, going to the middle of Wisconsin. If you get in the airplane and your inclinometer, the little slip skid ball, is not moving back and forth, can you still do this flight?
I'm going IFR?
Correct.
I cannot.
Okay.
That needs to be working.
Okay. Could you go VFR?
I could go VFR.
Okay. So that'd be an option. What other equipment?
I would need to go through that whole spiel of inoperating.
No.
Deactivating.
So what other equipment are you required to have on the flight in order for it to be legal as an instrument flight?
I need a source of power, an alternator or generator.
Okay.
I need radio.
Okay.
I need an altimeter and an attitude indicator.
Okay.
I need a slip indicator.
Okay.
So I need the little ball.
The inclinometer, sure.
I need a clock.
Okay.
It's showing hours, minutes, seconds.
Can I use my watch or my phone?
No. I can't. Again, same with GPS. It needs to be installed and fixed in the aircraft.
Okay.
I need a rate of turn
Mm-hmm.
indicator, and I need a directional gyro.
Okay. You mentioned an altimeter. Can this be any
It
altimeter?
needs to be pressure sensing at the Colesman window.
Okay. Great.
What do I need to do IFR flying at night?
What's that?
What kind of equipment do I need?
What equipment? You'd need to add on. You need to have backup fuses or circuit breakers.
Okay.
For the electronics, you need to have position lights.
Okay.
And anti-collision lights. Landing light if you're operating for hire, and then a source of energy. That battery.
Sure. So while taxiing now, yes, we fixed the inclinometer. We just tapped on it and it moves after all. While taxiing though, I noticed now I'm paying extra attention to my turn coordinator. I noticed that my rate of turn indicator on the turn coordinator is not turning when I turn. Is that normal?
On the ground?
On the ground while taxiing.
It should be moving.
So I'm not in the air. So if I'm doing, let's say I'm doing a right turn and it's not tilting, but I'm not flying, so should it be tilting?
It should be tilting. As long as you've allowed adequate time for the gyro to spin up, it should still be turning.
Okay.
If you're turning on the ground.
So if I'm doing a right turn, which way should it be turning?
It should still be indicating that you're in a right turn.
Yeah, good. Okay, so it's not normal. Would you fly with it? Could you fly with it?
No.
Yeah.
Can't fly with it like that. It needs to be operating.
Good. Yeah, so we wouldn't fly again. We'd have the same issue as we did with the inclinometer. Good. Okay. So we're going to move on now from the airplane. Let's say I'm set, ready to go. I'm hyped. Now the airplane's all hyped up and ready to go. We fixed all the problems with the turn coordinator.
Perfect.
Now we're going to look at, make sure the weather's okay. Make sure the sky's okay to go flying. So where did you get did you get a weather briefing today?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, so you did that before the Checkride, just like you did for private. Where did you get your weather briefing from?
I got mine from ForeFlight.
Okay. Are there other places you could have gotten a weather briefing?
Absolutely.
What other places could you get a weather briefing?
Flight Service Station.
Okay.
Aviationweather.gov.
Okay. How would you contact the flight service station for a weather briefing?
I would grab my phone and dial 1-800-WX-BRIEF.
Okay. Okay, what else? Flight services. Talk to them. What kind of information would you give them on the phone?
Anything they ask for.
Alright.
Within reason. They're going to ask for my N number. They're going to ask for all kinds of stuff. My flight altitude, estimated time of arrival, departure, type of aircraft.
Okay.
Equipment on board, potentially.
Okay. And
you're just
going to kind of list it as they go?
Yeah.
Alright.
No, I could look at the ICAO form that lays it out. As long as it's the newer version, it'll lay it out in the order that they have it. But they usually seem to be pretty quick about just writing down the information as I give it to them randomly too.
Random. Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Just like the first 10 items on those forms, usually what they want. You knew that though. I'm not teaching you that. What kind of weather and services make up a good weather briefing?
So it's not just weather. I also want to look up airspace, just NOTAMs in general.
Okay.
Things that might have changed or be atypical or information I need to know. And then I'm going to look at the observed weather.
Okay.
And I'm going to look at the forecasted weather, as well as any significant weather phenomena that are expected or current.
So what kind of weather reports make up observed weather?
METARs, PIREPs, service observation charts.
Okay, what about forecast weather?
Forecast weather is going to be TAFs. I suppose things like airmets, again, could also be observed.
Sure.
SIGMETs, but both airmets and SIGMETs can also be typically for weather in the future, especially as they extend over a period of time. So those are also going to be forecasted, whether or not they were posted right now. They might be posted right now, but they're also showing that they're expected to continue or develop into the future. For forecast, we have everything. We have all kinds of different charts for cloud tops with the graphical forecast. I think I mentioned TAFs. You have SIGMETs, convective SIGMET outlooks. I mean, you got all kinds of charts.
Okay. Good. And you'd use all of those that you mentioned?
Yeah, I'd use any that have pertinent information.
Okay. Well, why don't you walk me through the briefing that you did for today?
It's on ForeFlight.
Yeah, that's fine. You want to just pull up your ForeFlight?
ForeFlight brief is going to make it pretty simple. We're going to start with adverse conditions, SIGMETs, airmets, TFRs, and then we're going to work our way down into stuff that's So we have an area of instrument flight rules, so an AirMet that's southwest of our position.
Okay.
That is active during our time. And then, so this is pretty standard, like what I was seeing yesterday. This is a little bit worse than yesterday. So we're still seeing projected areas of IFR, instrument flight rules, because the ceiling is going to be below 1,000 or visibility below 3 miles. And that's for basically the entire rate of flight. This is not during our active flight time, though.
Okay.
So these airmets are going to expire before we're planning to fly now, or they're going to be active after. So, and that was the same thing I was seeing last night. But overall, this is still giving me the impression that there are low-level clouds in the area.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to spend a second here, which I should do here, just to see when these were projected for. So it looks like this one was 7 a.m. on August 7th.
What time are we planning on flying out today?
10 a.m.
Okay.
So this is slightly before departure. And this one's also for 7 a.m.
Okay, so they'd probably go for 7 to 10, looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I mean...
Would you make a go, no-go decision based on these?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. What else can we look at then?
Yeah, because again, I can look at clouds. Here's surface analysis. This just gives me an overview. Unfortunately, this doesn't give me a lot of information. Just some pressure lines. And yeah, but I know I saw, even yesterday I saw here that there was a cold front that passed through.
Okay, what's that orange dotted line right there?
I believe it's connecting an area of equal pressure.
Okay, what are these lines out here?
Isobars. So
what are isobars?
Lines of
Okay, so
pressure.
so what's the difference between those lines and the orange ones?
I'd have to look up my charts up my chart legend here for these orange lines.
Okay, before you do that, what are the blue H's?
Those are showing me areas of high pressure.
Okay, and generally speaking, what can I expect around a high pressure system?
Around a high pressure system, generally good weather.
Okay. Which direction do they rotate?
High pressure systems rotate clockwise.
Okay. And do they cause lifting or descending of air? Do they push air out or draw it in?
So they're pushing air out, and
Okay.
usually they're rising.
Okay, so they would cause clouds to form?
Yeah, they cause clouds to form, but generally they're lifting things up from the ground, so you have better visibility. You might have some turbulence, but also they're pushing air out, so a lot of dust particles, nuclei are pushed away from a high pressure system. So
Okay.
you might have showery precipitation because of clouds lifting, but generally the weather will be good.
What about low pressure systems?
Low pressure systems bring in poor weather, so they're bringing in a lot of nuclei, a lot of dust particles in their central location. You have descending air, so you have usually a really an unstable atmosphere, and you can have, instead of more showery, steady precipitation, you're more likely to have things like thunderstorms and convective development.
What causes an unstable atmosphere?
Non-stable lapse rate and things like moisture. But really, it's just unstable.
Okay,
so it's
so
lifting
what-
air.
Lifting air.
Yeah, so non-stable.
So is a low pressure system unstable? You said it has descending air.
I'd say it's still unstable, because with a low pressure system, you still get development of usually thunderstorms and weather cells.
With descending air? What are the requirements of a thunderstorm? What are the three things that are required for a thunderstorm to form?
You need a non-stable lapse rate,
Okay. Which is what?
basically rising air, so the air is rising quicker than standard. So the
Okay.
atmosphere is non-stable atmosphere.
Okay, so you need rising air.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And a non-stable atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you need?
Moisture.
Moisture. Okay, so does a low pressure system provide those three things? If it's causing air to descend?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Are you sure?
I'm still gonna argue yes. Just because again, I think a low pressure system, it usually brings with it bad weather, and especially, and I think it is again because you have a low pressure system moving in, which is pushing air down, which is gonna it has to displace air around it. So whether that's in front of the low pressure system, behind the low pressure system, you're gonna have air that's being cycled back up, and I think that's going to lead to bad weather. Yeah, to rising atmosphere.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to these blue triangles right here. What are those?
It's a cold front line.
Okay, what kind of weather do I expect along the cold front?
You're going to have a change in wind. You're going to have just a cold mass of air. Probably rain.
Okay.
Low clouds.
Why would it cause clouds and rain?
Because it's cooling down the atmosphere.
Okay.
And air can hold less moisture when it's cool.
Okay. What about a warm front?
Warm front, still along the front line, there's a possibility of seeing moisture. Again, it's just a warm air mass moving over cold air mass. It's going to bring in a change of winds.
So, are they both doing the exact same thing, causing the exact same weather?
No.
What's the difference? What are some differences between the two?
So a warm front generally brings in a warm mass of air which can hold more moisture, and it comes over a heavier, colder mass. And as it pushes that cold mass away, it usually starts to rise above the cold mass because again, it's lighter air. So as that warm air starts to rise, it starts to cool down a bit and starts to make more of a showery covering precipitation. But it's not very violent. You don't have a lot of quick rising air. When a cold front comes in, it's going to displace a warm mass of air, and the warm air is lighter, and that warm air is going to be pushed up above the cold air quickly, as a cold front moves in even quicker than a warm front. It's going to move it up really quickly, and you're going to get swirling, and you're going to get rapid rise, which is going to bring in things like thunderstorms and convective activity.
Okay.
So it's going to be more violent thunderstorms. Typically, they don't last as long, because again, a cold front's moving in quicker, things happen much quicker, so all the energy is expended faster. Whereas with a warm front, things kind of take their time, and you might get a couple of days of rainy, showery precipitation.
Okay. So if you were to generalize, which one would you say creates worse weather for
cold
pilots?
front.
Cold front. Okay, I like that answer. And then, am I expecting the bad weather? Well, no, I guess I won't ask that. That's maybe a little bit too generalized. But so have we decided what these orange lines are?
Nope. Without looking up here, I could guess that they're just lines of pressure, maybe troughs or something like that.
Okay. Where would you find a legend for this chart?
The first place I would look would be the TERPs. I'd probably go to aviationweather.gov first. Just look around at the charts.
Yeah, I like that answer. Yeah. So if we go to aviationweather.gov, we look up this chart on aviationweather.gov, it'll give us the legend. We're just gonna move on though, for the sake of time. So you can go on to the next page.
Here are METAR's observed weather. Really good to look at these shortly before you leave. So example, right now it's 10:17. We were planning on leaving at 10, so we could look at them now if we're about to head out. Here it's pretty good. We're seeing VFR with one spot of moderate VFR. And see the moderate VFR spot is telling us that there's some haze, broken level at 8,000. So it's just moderate because there's 5 statute miles of visibility.
Can you decode this METAR for me? The Kilo Mike Delta Zulu, this one right here.
So there's airport identifier on the 7th of the month, so August 7th, starting at 14:55 Zulu. Again, this observation was made at 2:55 Zulu time. It was automatic, so it was not made by a person. It's made by a computer.
2:55 Zulu? Is that what you said? You said 2:55 Zulu?
14:55 Zulu. 2:55. Yeah, PM Zulu.
Is that PM?
No. Yes.
Has 2 PM happened yet today on the 7th?
For Zulu, do you understand what I'm saying? 2:55 PM Zulu?
Yeah, I understand that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's 14:55 Zulu. Automatic. The winds are...
What time local is this METAR?
Okay, 15, so like 9:55 a.m.
There we go. Okay.
9:55.
What does auto mean?
Again, that wasn't made by a person
Okay.
at the station. It was an automatic observation made by a computer. The winds are at 020, 4 knots.
Okay.
Visibility is 10 statute miles. Sky clear.
Okay.
The temperature is 22 degrees
Mm-hmm.
Celsius.
Okay.
The dew point is 15 degrees.
Okay.
The altimeter setting is 229.93.
Okay.
And then remarks, we have A02 is just saying if it can determine certain differential between types of precipitation. And then that TO, all those numbers, is runway information. So like, it'll be its coefficient of grip, basically the condition of the runway. But I don't have the information to decode that.
Are you sure that's what it's telling you?
No.
You sound very confident, but I don't know if I believe that.
Well, when you ask me, I doubt it. But that's
Let's
that's
look at
what it is.
Look at the numbers after the T and compare them to the numbers that are written for temperature and dew point. Do they look kind of similar?
Yeah, they do. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's probably for non-pilots.
What do you think those numbers are?
Just further weather information. Perhaps it's more specific,
Yeah.
more in depth for people who aren't.
I like that answer. Yeah, just more specific temperature information. What does PWINO mean?
I have no idea.
All right, that's a good one. And Mr. DPE here doesn't know what it means either. Where can we look it up?
We can look that up at just Google it.
Okay, we could Google
That's
it.
the fastest way.
We could Google it, and we would probably get the right answer. But there's always a chance that we get some random person on the internet that tells us something random. How do we know for sure we're gonna get the right answer? Where can we go to get
weather abbreviation? Well, I have a nice fancy chart that I printed out.
Okay.
It has lots of different METAR observations. I don't even think I've never seen that in my life.
Okay. All right, but there's some different places we can look it up.
Yeah, the FAA has published, and it's actually ICAO has published, because they're the ones who actually make for NOTAMs and METARs and TAPs. They're the ones who generally set the abbreviations. So ICAO has a document.
Good. And I won't make you look it up. Maybe this was an actual Checkride. The examiner would probably make you look it up, but I won't make you look it up. The chart supplement also has a limited number of codes for TAPs and METARs, but I don't know if it'll have that.
I don't think I've ever seen. Is that a location?
Well, we're gonna move on, but hey, if you know what it is in the comments, bonus points for you. And we'll look it up and we'll put it in the video for you. All right, we can move on.
Maybe we can make guesses later what we think it is.
Yeah, move on. NO means probably it's not giving information on it. Just like TS, NO means no thunderstorm information available. So it's probably something not available.
All right, here we have cloud covering.
All right, you can skip through clouds. We don't read the clouds.
Are
Are those MSL or AGL?
Those AGL. Actually, I haven't looked at that chart. But yeah, clouds are usually given in AGL. Here we have winds.
Okay.
At altitude.
Let's just look. I just want to look at. Well, I have two questions. One, what altitude are we at here?
This is across the ground.
Yeah, surface winds. Okay. What is that wind bar with the red line on it?
Gust factor.
Okay, so what wind is it? What wind?
It's showing 10 gusting 15.
Okay, and which direction is the wind going, roughly?
Southeast.
Southeast. Yeah, south-southeast. Okay, that's good. We can move on from that. TAFs. I know you're a private pilot. You know how to read a TAF. I'm just going to ask you to kind of decode one here. So how about this Eau Claire Kilo Echo Alpha uniform? Can you decode that TAF for me?
Yep, so on the 7th of the month at 11:26 Zulu, to the 7th of the month, so that's when it was issued.
Okay.
And it's valid from 12 Zulu to 12 Zulu tomorrow.
Okay.
In 24 hours. No wind.
Okay.
And for statute miles, haze, sky clear, fog, mist.
Is it haze, fog, or mist?
So shoot. That's why you don't say stuff in your Checkride. It's mist.
Mist. Okay, good.
And don't ask me the difference, because then there is one.
And then sky clear. Okay. And then we have a bunch of FMs. What does the FM stand
Yeah,
for?
so these are just showing us now more in depth. So from the 7th at 13 Zulu, predicted wind, and then from the 7th at 15 Zulu or 17 Zulu.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we can move on.
No winds.
I know you can read wind barb, so we can move on from that. Well, what are those numbers actually?
Temperature.
Okay, good. We can move on. We can move on from this one. I hate this chart. All right,
Winds aloft.
Winds
That's
aloft.
a temperature
Okay.
forecast.
So what are our winds aloft today?
So we're flying for 7,000 feet, MSL, and as you can see from different points it changes, but say the average is about 330 degrees, and the winds are about 8 knots.
Okay. What else can I learn from a winds aloft chart?
Temperature.
Okay. Is there anything else I can get from this chart?
You can also learn stability of the atmosphere.
Okay. How do I get that information out of here?
I can see at different altitudes how the temperature is changing, and I know a typical lapse rate would be 2 degrees Celsius, about 2 degrees Celsius for every 1,000 feet.
Okay. So if the temperature was changing faster than that, what would it indicate?
That there's rising air, unstable atmosphere.
Yeah. Okay. So we might have clouds or something at some altitude. Okay. And anything else we could determine from this chart?
Sure, the freezing level.
Okay. What's the freezing level today?
It's above 11,000 feet, so I can't see it. Alright. Looks like it's about 12,000 feet.
All right. Yeah. So just right under 12,000. Good. Winds aloft look good, and we'll talk about NOTAMs later. Well, actually, we'll do NOTAMs now. What is a D NOTAM? Domestic NOTAM.
It's going to show things like obstructions and runway closures potential, just things that are immediately important to the runway environment.
Okay. What is an FDC NOTAM? Federal Data Center NOTAM.
That's all the crazy stuff.
Okay.
You might find some TFRs in there.
Okay.
You might find you're mainly going to look there for like procedural changes.
Okay.
Like if certain approach is unavailable, or something has been amended in it, or if there's 5G NOTAM awareness. I believe that's also in FTC NOTAMs.
Okay. And where would I find FTC NOTAMs on this list?
Just scroll down. There's none for Superior.
Okay. Let's look at some of the other NOTAMs here. What are all these NOTAMs right here?
These are all for obstructions. Towers, trees.
Okay. Good. What's this? All these massive.
Those are
NOTAMs
FTCs. These are showing amended takeoff minimums specifically here. And then it's
Okay.
showing you basically why. So it's giving you a whole bunch of trees, light poles, towers, poles that are certain distances from the center line that need to be avoided.
Okay, good. All right, we can move on from the flight plan. That looks really good and thorough. What weather conditions require that I file an IFR flight plan?
You're required to file an IFR flight plan again, and when the weather minimums are below VFR.
Okay. What would that be specifically?
Less than 3 statute miles visibility and less than 1,000-foot ceilings.
Okay. And how much cloud coverage constitutes a ceiling?
At least broken, so at least 5/8.
Okay, 5/8 of the sky. Okay, well, how much of the sky is indicated by few? How much sky
1 to
coverage?
2 octants.
Okay. How much by scattered?
3 to 4 octants.
Okay, and how much by broken?
5 to 7.
And overcast?
8 octants.
So I like your terminology. Okay, so let's say we're going on this flight, and along the flight, ATC advises that there's a thunderstorm ahead. What kind of weather can you expect in that thunderstorm?
High turbulence, wind shear, potentially hail, lightning, heavy precipitation.
Okay, yeah, everything that would take down an airplane.
Yep.
What about microbursts?
Yeah, microbursts could be in the thunderstorm or in the area around it.
Okay, what is a microburst?
Just a batch of very downdrafts.
Okay, how long do they last?
I think maximum about 15 minutes.
Sure.
Is what they usually say.
Are they going to be right below the thunderstorm, or could they be on the side?
They could be on the sides.
Okay.
They could be extended out quite a bit.
How do you know if there's a microburst in an area?
You can't always tell, but generally you're going to look for things like Virgo, so you're going to look for rain, visible rain, and then dust or dust particles near the ground kind of swirling up.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so let's say your ATC tells you about this thunderstorm. How would you proceed?
I would ask for an amended track, so I want to go around it. I want to go away from it.
Yeah, sort of get vectors to go around
Yeah.
it maybe. Let's say you're in IMC and you accidentally hit this embedded thunderstorm that you didn't see coming and ATC missed. So now you believe that you're in a thunderstorm. How would you proceed in this case?
Oh, I would declare an emergency.
Okay.
In a thunderstorm, I would pull power back so I'm below V8.
Okay. Maneuvering
My
speed.
maneuvering airspeed. Declare an emergency and ask for. I mean, they're looking at. My main thing is I'm going to be keeping the wings level.
Okay.
Control of the aircraft, and I'm going to need ATC to help me as much as possible to find the quickest way out of the thunderstorm and the best way to do it.
Good. Okay. Yeah, you can use all your resources, keep that airplane flying, keep it level. Good. Okay. So on your flight, let's say you're going on this flight. There's no thunderstorm, but your in-flight weather, like on your iPad or in the GPS and everything, that's failed, and you have reason to suspect that weather conditions have changed from what you originally expected. Say the temperature's off and stuff, and you're in IMC. How can you obtain updated weather information on your flight?
So I'm in IMC, and what's failed?
You don't have any way to get in-flight weather from like a GPS or an ADSB
okay.
in receiver or anything like that.
I can call on frequency or by phone the flight service station.
Okay.
Or air traffic control. Also ground stations, so METARs if they're in the area.
Okay. We'll come to that in a second. But while flying, a Tango AirMet is issued to be in effect at the arrival airport at the time you're going to land. Will you continue to land, or are you would you divert based on that information?
That is a really good question.
Remember, you have me as a passenger.
Mm-hmm.
I've never flown in an airplane before.
Right. Gosh, I would really want to just try.
Well, I appreciate your honesty.
No, good practice would say yes. You can have an area of moderate to heavy turbulence potentially.
Okay.
So
Let's
as well
say
as wind shifting. So I'm gonna divert.
Okay. Let's say this Tango AirMet is issued to be in effect right where you are now, and you don't feel any turbulence. Would you continue then?
Man, that just feels like a question that's impossible to answer sitting right here. Of course I'm gonna divert. I'm gonna do good practices.
Yeah. So in addition to turbulence, what else does a Tango AirMet could it mean?
Rock size hail. I believe it's wind shear.
Yeah, wind shear and high surface winds, 30 knots. Great. Yeah, so maybe not great to take a passenger in 30 knot surface winds.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Not teaching as a DPE, but one of the things that scares passengers the most is is bumpy air and wind.
Sure.
When the wings are tipping, your side slip landing, all that stuff can be scary for passenger. Something to think about, even if you can fly in it, and maybe you probably shouldn't, even if it's just a Tango Air Met.
Mm-hmm.
Probably use your judgment to avoid it and give yourself safety minimums. Let's pull up the chart again and look at your destination airport. And I have 2 questions for you here.
What chart?
An en route chart, your flight planning chart. And I want to know, the first thing I want to know is...
I'm going to do another clap here just to line everything. Alright.
The first thing I want to know is, looking at your destination airport, what flight service station would you use? We mentioned earlier that you could get weather from a flight service station. What frequency are you going to use for flight service? Near your destination of Marshfield.
Mm-hmm. So 1222 looks like it would be the best. It's somewhere in the middle by Eau Claire. Down here, and I'm seeing that in this box right here. So on top I have 1222. That's Green Bay Radio.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So you can use Green Bay Radio. So now let's talk about alternate airports. Do you need an alternate for today's flight?
I do not.
Okay. How do you know if you need an alternate?
1 hour before to 1 hour after my estimated time of arrival at my destination, if the clouds are 2,000, if the ceilings are below 2,000, or visibility is less than 3 statute miles, I need an alternate, legally.
2,000 feet, 3 statute miles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what kind of airports can be used for alternates? Can you use an airport that doesn't have instrument procedures as an alternate?
You can, yeah.
Okay. What requirements would need to be met if you did that?
The airport would have to have, again, at the scheduled time of planned time of arrival at that airport, the airport would have to have weather allowing me to descend from the MEA to the airport in VFR conditions.
Okay, sure. Let's say you choose an alternate, and you are going to just say any airport kind of in the area, and it has a GPS runway, it has a GPS approach, and it has an ILS approach into the same runway but on opposite ends. So you're going to opposite sides of the runway, and the winds are currently favoring the GPS approach. What alternate minimums are you going to plan on for that landing or for that alternate airport?
I'm gonna plan on the non-precision.
Okay, and what would that be?
Non-precision would be 800-foot ceilings and 2 statute miles.
Okay, and that's at the time of arrival at that correct place. Okay, what about when would I plan on using the ILS?
If the winds were favoring the ILS runway.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna factor, when I'm picking my alternate airport, I'm gonna factor in the wind.
Could I just do the ILS circle to land?
You would have to look, again, that's gonna be interesting question. Yeah, sure I could, but there's going to be some things I want to factor in. First off,
Okay.
You're going to have whether or not that actually exists. Second of all, do I want to fly an ILS with 30 knot tailwind? Third, are the clouds going to be high enough? Because usually you're in a circle to land, you're quite high up
Right.
in the air.
Do ILS circle to land exist?
I suppose they probably don't, since it's a precision approach.
Yeah. Do you ever hold the decision altitude?
No.
No. Yeah. So I liked your thought process there. That was good thinking. That might apply for like a localizer. You might want to think about that for a circle to land. Best to just plan for the headwind approach for the non-standard. Same thing. Same minimums you have for a localizer. Of course, I'm not teaching. So if we did have favoring, say, a precision approach like an ILS, what kind of what kind of alternate minimums could you use?
The 600 to statute mile.
Okay, good. Where can I find information on non-standard alternate airports?
Procedures?
Non-standard minimums, alternate minimums. Where can I find that information?
TERPSA.
The terms. Okay, and how do I know if an airport has non-standard alternate minimums?
Little A in the black triangle.
Okay. Yeah. So it's approach specific.
Yeah.
Thing.
Approach specific.
Okay. It's interesting. It's approach specific, not airport specific. Okay, good. And you mentioned that upside down A. That's.
I think the A is right side up. I think the triangles.
You might be right.
Well,
we'll come to that. We'll come to that.
What is in the right side up triangle?
I don't know. Well, is today's flight going to be a go or a no go decision, based on your weather reporting and flight planning?
To be honest, I'm going to call a flight service station because I want to just clarify with those air mets. Looks like those air mets were scheduled to end, but I want to know more about the track, and so I'm going to call before I make my decision. Just based on that, I'm feeling like I'm going to go.
Okay.
But I do want to confirm what the flight service station is seeing with those air mets. Are they expecting any more to be published? And yeah, but otherwise, I think that the clouds are fine. I think that was probably just an early morning, low visibility, low clouds, and that's all lifted away.
Okay.
So that's what I'm expecting. But I would want to just put in a phone call first.
Would your decision change at all if I told you that I have a dying puppy in Marshfield that I need to go visit, and I really need you to get me there?
No. So this flight's estimated to be about an hour and a half, and
it's a dying puppy.
I don't feel comfortable flying an hour and a half in instrument meteorological conditions,
okay.
Especially with the passenger. It's going to add on extra burden, extra stress, extra external factors. So, as a now newly minted instrument pilot, I'm not going to fly an hour and a half my first flight in instrument.
Okay,
conditions.
good. Yeah, I like that, adding safety margin. Are you going to tell your passenger that to his face that you think he's a lot of work?
No.
Okay. Okay, so looking at your flight plan, what's going to be your fuel burn, distance travel, and time and route for the flight?
Fuel burn is 21 gallons.
Okay.
My estimated time en route is 1 hour and 30 minutes. And my altitude is 7,000 feet.
Okay, and how long is the distance on the flight?
The distance is 192 nautical miles.
192?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you mentioned fuel burn, time en route. Is that fuel burn accounting for your alternate? Or you didn't plan an alternate?
No, I did not plan an alternate.
Okay. If you planned an alternate, how would you have to change your fuel?
I would add on the distance to the alternate.
Okay.
And then factor in that fuel burn, and then plus 45 minutes of cruise flight.
Okay.
So when I give you that 21 gallons as well, that's not with that's how much I'm going to burn. That's not how much I'm taking.
Okay.
Or how much I would legally be required to take.
Okay. So you'd have to add on how much for that to be legal?
I'd add on 6 gallons.
Okay. Is that 45 minutes? 8 gallons an hour?
Oh, I apologize. I would add on about 9 gallons.
Okay. And are you giving yourself time there to shoot an approach at the airport, or is it just
Correct.
straight over the airport?
That's with the approach. So
Okay.
the burning 21 gallons is with an approach.
Good. Okay. Let's say that while we're doing this flight, I want to pick up a friend of mine at Eau Claire who weighs 240 pounds. Is that going to be doable on this flight? You can put him in the front seat, me in the back if you need
pounds,
to.
how much do you weigh?
How dare?
So you're the passenger I took in the first place. I didn't even.
Yeah, I weigh. So you would have
I
got
put
that.
170 in for you.
Yeah, 170 is perfect.
We'll put him in the rear seat. And how much is your 240?
240.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're gonna be fine. Do we have any luggage?
Nope, no baggage.
Did 50 gallons. Sure, we're fine. We'll see if we can even go full fuel. Nope. Too heavy. So we'll go 55 gallons. No, still too heavy.
So can we make the flight?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think we could, if we got to Marshfield and found out that we couldn't make the flight, do you think we could divert to Green Bay and be okay? Do you think we have enough fuel to divert to Green Bay? You can just estimate it quickly.
I
Assuming
don't know where Green Bay is.
Okay, it's pretty far east.
Oh, I see it.
It's a big airport.
100 miles, 70 miles? 90 miles.
You don't need to do the flight calculation. I'd prefer if you just kind of just give me a rough
Okay, so I'm
estimate.
thinking that's 40 miles. I'm not factoring in the wind here because I don't know. I'm guessing I'm going to burn about 8 gallons
Okay.
getting there.
So I have 50 gallons total. I burned 21 on the way. We're fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So 20. So we're burning 21. Let's see up to 30 with the reserve. So we have 30. We still have 20 gallons left. It's gonna take us about 8 to get to Green Bay.
Okay. So you'll be able to get there and still have your IFR reserve?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Great. Good. Okay. So can you show me how you would file an IFR flight plan? I'm assuming you do it on ForeFlight?
Correct.
Can you just show me
That's
how you
not
do
the only way. Yes, I'm a new pilot. I've never done this before. I'm going to send to flights after I put in all the necessary information.
Okay.
I'm going to verify that everything here is correct, my departure, my aircraft, whatever. I'm going to proceed to file. I'm going to verify that all information in here is correct. So one thing I'll have to change is my time en route, because ForeFlight's only given what it's calculated, but I want to calculate in with the reserve, and I know everything always takes longer, so I changed that. I also know I have more than 2 hours of fuel on board. So I'm going to put all that information in, and I'm going to click File.
Okay. What if you clicked File on accident and you accidentally filed this flight? Would you have to call BTC and let them know you're not actually going on the flight? Or?
No.
Okay. So what happens to your flight then?
To be honest, does anybody really know? It's going to go to an air traffic control station, I imagine. It's going to go to them, but it's not activated yet. I haven't picked up any clearance. It's just sitting in front of them so that they have the information.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, and it'll go away after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I saw some numbers there. I guess a slash and then a G and an S and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You pull that back up. Hopefully you can put it all away. Look at your IKO.
Yep. So my
Filing codes. Can you tell me a little bit about those?
So where did they go?
Just disappeared. You could try looking for your actual aircraft profile on ForeFlight.
Sure, but it was in here before. Alright, so I can go to my aircraft. Alright, here I have my ICAO equipment.
Okay, so what are these IKAO codes for?
These give the air traffic controllers understanding of what kind of equipment we have available. And it's also very helpful for search and rescue, knowing what we had on board.
Okay. Do you know what the slant G is? I guess that's FAA. Do you know what the G is in ICAO?
GPS.
Yeah. Okay. And R is probably radio and mode S transponder. Yeah, and there are lots of other codes. Okay. Just to make sure those are right. But because we did a good job getting those in.